Hi everybody, this video is sponsored by contribution from Kimmy. Hi Ollie, I've been following you for years and I would like to thank you again for your efforts. Finding people that truly understand how you feel is invaluable, and I know you are helping many. I was born from a narc mother and endured an incredibly abusive life. The first memory I have of her is, is of her actually pinning my diaper to my skin. I remember the look in her eyes as she did it and how I remained still throughout the night to keep from hurting, which literally represents my life with a thorn in my side. Les kicked out my dad when I was 5 years old. I remember I remember crying uncontrollably while clinging onto his leg, begging him to take me with him. I was so afraid because he was the only one that loved me and tried to protect me from that monster. And I was right. Everything got worse. I have an older brother that was trained to abuse me and a younger brother that fell into the golden child role. We were latchkey kids, which meant every day after school it would be game on. Physical fighting, holes in walls, bruises, cuts, emotional turmoil. My brothers used to laugh and instigate, saying, "You're going to get it when mom comes home." And the inevitable always followed, more punishment. When Les got home from work, I was either sent to my room where I spent a great deal of my childhood alone and talking to Jesus, telling him how bad I wanted to die. Often I would take another beating because I was to blame for everything wrong. Many times not be allowed to go outdoors and play because she would not want anyone to see the welts and bruises she inflicted. Family and neighbors were aware and witnessed her treatment towards me, but no one would ever confront her or intervene. Just leave because it was upsetting them. One incident that was seared into my brain forever was when I was 9 or 10 years old. Every Friday she would take us out to dinner, and she called from work to tell me, make sure your brother has his belt on. Well, I looked everywhere, and my search became frantic as time grew short. My younger brother was bouncing on his bed, giggling at my panic. Les came storming up the stairs and said, "You cannot even dress your little brother. If I find that belt, you've had it." Well, she knew exactly where it was and found it right away. She had set me up. She unleashed her rage on beating me with the buckle end of it. I felt the blood trickling down my back, all the while demeaning me as I crouched in the corner protecting my ears because it always hurt so bad when she hit them. I was eventually dragged down the stairs by my hair and told to call my father, that she could not stand me and to get out of the house. She went into my bedroom and packed my clothes while I tried to find my daddy. Someone called her husband at the time from work, and he came home and put me in the tub to wash the blood off me. My dad came to get me, and I thought I was free at last. He was living above a bar in moonlit bartending. He tried to keep me upstairs in his room, but I would keep sneaking down to the bar. I loved to go there because the old drunks would spoil me and help me forget. But by Sunday afternoon, the call came and I had to go back. I was sick. I arrived to a new bedroom. It was not the pink I always wanted. It was red and represented my bloodshed. Oddly enough, 20 years later, she gave me a Christmas gift of a blanket she made with the material from that room on it. I was horrified all over again and eventually burned it. She remarried a few more times before landing her last final prize to whom she is still with. Eventually, she trained him to abuse me. Every marriage moving up the social ladder. In the public eye, she appeared as an incredible woman and mother. How? She keeps getting remarried and divorced. We were always well dressed and groomed, although never in clothes I liked or have the long hair I so desired. We were involved in many activities: dance lessons, bowling, music, brownies, Cub Scouts, ice skating, horseback riding, skiing, water skiing, sailing, vacations, college, you name it. She was successful in business and had a higher education, volunteered, and had a busy social life. We were always moving into bigger homes and more wealthy neighborhoods. I think when I went I think when I went to 11 or 12 different schools. My dad, as I know now, was not the father to my brothers. Always picked us up every other weekend. Always paid child support for all three of us, and always took us on his 2-week summer vacation and would try to be at the games or recitals or my horse shows, etc. He worked in a lumber yard. He worked in a lumber yard for 40 plus years and was a wonderful man, though he was an alcoholic. May he rest in peace. On the weekends, I didn't go with him. I usually went to my mother's mother, who was an alcoholic that gave me cigarettes and beer since I was 7 years old, or my mother's brother, who was a drug dealer, and I didn't care. I just had to get away. And it was a reprieve for Les, so she could enjoy her sons. I remember once being shipped to summer camp so the 4 of them could travel on vacation without me. I was the Cinderella for Les and the boys never had many chores. I could never please her, although I tried my whole life. It was hard to keep any friends as she would sabotage it somehow. At 16, when she was in another rage and about to beat me, it appeared I found my breaking point. I warned her that I was not going to take it anymore and that I had had it up to here. When she called my bluff, I sent her sailing across the room with one swift kick to the gut. That was the first time I had the guts to defend myself. She was crying out for a husband who came in and threw me on the bed. 6'6" man straddled me, locking both my arms beneath his knees. I was completely defenseless as he proceeded to punch my face in as Les cheered him on. After the assault, I tried to phone the police, but they yanked all the wires from the phones, telling me to calm down, so I did. I sat there with my face swelling and waited. I called. They came and said Les was going to press charges on me if I press any on her. So I just left with a few clothes. It was over. I ended up getting raped that night. Perfect day, huh? Well, that was the introduction to my new life. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. A lost soul. I stayed with my dad and his wife for a few years, quit school, got a job, and partied as often as I could. Eventually, I hitchhiked from New York to Florida to live with my crazy granny. Life was out of control, and I really can't believe I'm still here to tell my story. I wound up pregnant at 26 and moved back to an apartment in New York. I thought I needed my mom. I thought things would be different. They were, but more sinister, covert, without the physical abuse. I became a nurse and was a loving parent to my son, worked part-time jobs, and bought my first house. Les was always watching him and manipulated me terribly by using him and continued to hurt me. I suffered depression but kept on going. At one point, she tried to gain custody of him. He was a gift to me and showed me more about love than I ever knew. When he was 10, I married for the first time, and you guessed it, to a narc. He was so wonderful to me, and it was the happiest time of my life. His mask fell off directly after our wedding. Yes, Les was there and ruined the day for me. I uprooted my son, sold my house, and found myself in the devil's lair. Holy shit. I traded one psychopath for another, stayed with him for 8 years of hell. I found a $50,000 life insurance policy he secretly took out on me, which explained why my hair was falling out and why I was so sick. Needless to say, I quit drinking the coffee he prepared for me. I left him after my son graduated from high school and spent a few years reeling and licking my wounds. I had filed for divorce and got screwed out of thousands of dollars, but the fucker didn't kill me. I'm trying to keep it brief, but I'll have to give you some insight. Sorry the story is so long. I've tried to edit, and thank you if you're still here with me. Haha. So I was able to buy this old house in an unfamiliar town in the housing crash of '08. It was to be for a year or two stay, but I'm still here. I was still trying to have a relationship with Les as she's getting older, but was always bad. Then a new neighbor moved in next door, and guess what? More psychopathy. Can you believe it? Now I've been in and out of counseling therapy throughout my life, and no one ever explained narcissism to me. It was the neighbor's antics that finally led me to what has been happening to me my whole life. I was 47 years old. I researched and read and finally got it. Boy, do I feel dumb. Anyways, I've been no contact with Les for about 3 years now. She has tried several ways to get me back, but I'm done. My younger brother, the golden child, is very successful as an art director, and I am certain You have seen many of his ads and commercials. I am poor and suppose we are too different to be close, so I never talk to him. My older brother is a very angry man and probably suffers much guilt. I rarely speak to him. Both are married and seem to lead normal lives. They all do holidays, birthday, but have all completely forgotten me, and it hurts. All my distant relatives are beholden to less, even though they know her wicked ways and choose to remain allegiant with her. But I am done with the whole fiasco. This shit took 52 years to get to this point, and if I could only help one person get out while they are still young, it would be great. I have become a recluse and given up on dreams. I feel a great sense of comfort being alone, gardening, and my dogs. I have never lived anywhere this long and finally feel safe for the first time ever. My son lives here and my best friend of 27 years. But at times I feel as if they're scapegoating me. I wonder if my son is a narc too, or I just fear everyone is. My friend told me the other night that I have to cut ties with Les after I told her I smelled Les's perfume at the grocery store and how my brain went into PTSD mode. I was gutted and we got into an argument. It seems so sick. It seems she is sick of hearing or living with my BS. Sometimes she walks into the room, she is very quiet, and I jump and scream in fright. I don't want to push her away. She knows all the trials I've been through, but I don't think she can understand it. I've had her listen to your videos because you have a great insight, and I feel like you validate what I went through. Maybe you can advise me how to trust again, how to move forward from this place I feel frozen in, or am I hoping for the impossible? How do I not lose the only friend I have in my life? She is a really giving, kind, and sensible person, and I feel as if I'm going to lose her. As for my boy, how to help him? I wonder because he has remained loyal out of his love for me, everyone has dropped him out of their lives as well. So he will be alone when I die. I have urged him to connect with his father and uncles, but I think the abuse I suffered has creeped onto his shoulders in a fucked up way. Once again, I'm sorry for the length. I would appreciate your thoughts. Much love and happiness to you. Thank you, Kimmy. Narcissism, like you say, is always going to be that thorn in your side. And the problem we sometimes have when we talk to people or we have somebody we trust about it, we talk in circles to them. We say the same thing over and over and over again because we need to say it. But there's no way you're going to explain it to somebody like your friend in a way she's going to understand it. She understands the abuse you went through, but I'm sure when she gives you advice and tells you to cut her out, and you don't do it, it's very frustrating. So people want to shut down and stop talking about it. There is no way you're going to make peace with your mother or your two brothers. No way. No way. The woman would beat you bloody with a belt, chose man after man over you, held you down, and then when you finally fought back, they held you down and beat you harder. That's what Drunky did to me when I finally fought back and pinned me enormous down on the ground when I was 17. I had him flat on his back and I was ready to pummel him. And he was going to take a fucking beating right there on the dining room floor when he fucked with my car. Right there and then. He had gone too far. And I had him and I was over him. And Drunky came up from behind me in a chokehold. Because, I still at that point, I think I was only 124 or 25 pounds. I was real skinny, still at 17. And I felt the power and the rage and then that frustration of, like, even when I want to fight back, they hold me. And that is just so enraging. And then you get raped and it's terrible. And that's the thorn of the narcissism that's in your side. That thorn is always going to be there. Look, your son is 27 years old. he needs to get out of the freaking house. I can't make that any more blunt because you're hurting him by keeping him there. It's time for him to move on. It's time for you to move on with your friend and the stand. You're using these people. I'm not saying you're a user, but these people are almost a cover for you. It's time for your son to move on, get his own apartment, and get out of the house as soon as possible. You don't want him to be one of these guys living in his mom's basement, and you don't want to be one of these old maids dependent on their son. You have the opportunity to make a new life and make new friends. Okay? Yes, we have the problem that we view everybody as a narcissist, and that's something we have to deal with. But the root of your friend's problem is your mother being in your life. So I think you can clear a lot of that out by cutting her out of your life, cutting your family out of your life completely, and telling your son to do the same. Once they're completely removed from your life, maybe you can stop talking about them and move on and have some healthy friendships and relationships and realize the things you've accomplished already. Realize the things you've accomplished already. And that's the best you can do. Because the narcissist's abuse will always be that thorn in your side. So you're going to have to learn to deal with it. Thank you for your contribution, and thank you for your story. You know, it means a lot. You know, I know things are tough financially, so whatever you can give is always great, and I appreciate it. And I know how much this video probably meant to you. So I hope it helps, and know that I understand. So I hope it helps. Please take my advice. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any comments or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, or you have a topic you'd like me to cover, some audio of a narcissist you'd like to expose, or you'd just like to contribute to the channel, you know what to do with the PayPal link in the description box. Even if you can't contribute, send me your story anyway, and I will get it out there and have the video right back to you. This is Ollie Matthews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all again soon.